Right then folks, Greeno here, out and about. As you can see, I'm currently standing in a bit of a snowstorm. I have come to Wales today. Yes, I'm in Wales, and I've come here for one reason and one reason alone. Just behind me, over there, you'll be able to see a chip shop called Ship Deck. Now this place has won the National Fish and Chip of the Year award for 2024. Apparently, it is proper. So we're going to get inside and find out what it's all about. And then I'm going to get back in my car and eat it. Because there's no chance I'm sitting outside. It is freezing and it is snowing. Oh, I know I'm normally pretty well adapted to winter conditions, but this is a bit much. Anyway, let's get inside and find out what it's all about. Right, I've got the food, time to get in the car and eat it. Right then guys, so obviously this is not an ideal situation. I've been planning to come up here and sit outside. They've got a couple of picnic benches outside, and even though we're heading into the winter, I thought that'll be alright. Not when it's snowing, it isn't. Absolutely drenched, there's no chance I'm sitting out there. So, I've got all the food out, take a closer look at it. So I haven't yet shown you the pie that I've ordered because I can't fit it on the little tray with all of this other stuff. We'll have a look at that in a minute. But what I've got here is a regular cod. I've got chips with that. I've made it into like a meal they do there. So it's cod chips, mushy peas and tartar sauce. And I've also ordered an Irish curry sauce to go with that. The pie I've got is a minced beef and onion one, so we'll have a look at that in a minute, like I say. So let me run through the pricing for you before we get stuck in. So the regular cod is £6.98 by itself. If you make it a meal, that is by adding the chips, adding the mushy peas and the tartar sauce, that's another £3.30. So that takes that to what? £10.28? I think that's okay. We also have the minced beef pie at £2.55, and I think that's from a local supplier as well. And the Irish curry sauce is £1.55, and it is quite a substantial tub of this sauce actually. It's a good sized curry sauce, and look at that lovely colour on it. A little bit darker than your average chip shop curry sauce is an Irish one. The mushy peas, we'll take a look at them before we get stuck into. They're properly mushy peas, aren't they? There's not much liquid in them. Almost like a peas pudding. And the tartar sauce here looks pretty good too. Now this place is really big on sustainability. All their packaging is kind of recyclable. I think they try and do it so at least 98% of everything that they do is recyclable, and I think that's great. Even down to the sort of the oil they're using and whatever. They try and jiggle it around so that everything is recyclable as possible. Kudos to them for that. Right, where are we going to start? Let's go with a chip, shall we? Now these apparently are twice cooked chips. I don't know why they're twice cooked. Maybe they're just blanched at a lower heat originally and then fried at a higher heat to get a little bit more crisp on them. But they look a really lovely golden colour. I had them add salt and vinegar. Wowzers. That is a very, very flavoursome chip. Now, I was up in Yorkshire recently. And I went to Murgatroyd's up there and they're cooked in beef dripping, and that gives it a different dimension. So you're not getting that flavour from them. But what you are definitely getting is kind of like a nice clean flavour of chip. They're not greasy at all. The inside of them is lovely and fluffy. And the outside of them, you can probably pick it up on the mic. It does have a little bit of a crisp to it. They are really good chips. I'm really pleased about that. I'm going to try the curry sauce with a chip. Now if I pick this up and show it to the camera, we'll be able to see how well it clings. And here we go, look at that. It's a nice thick curry sauce. Being an Irish curry sauce, it should have a little bit more spice than the regular, almost Chinese style curry sauce that you get in a lot of chippies. Wow. It does. The first thing that gets you is a little bit of a kick. That is exceptional. Look at how that is glistening on that chip. It's clinging to it beautifully. Just the right consistency. And that flavour, like I say, spicy, fruity, and a real kind of nice depth to it. That is delicious. Wow. I really, really like that sauce. I'm struggling to think of a better curry sauce I've had in a chippy anywhere, to be honest with you. That is proper. Let's move on to these peas. Now, like I say, I mean, you look at these, I can pretty much tip them upside down and no liquid is coming out of there at all. Let's get stuck in with a chip, because Greeno being Greeno, forgot to bring any cutlery with him. So, like I say, it's more like a peas pudding than a mushy pea, isn't it? The flavour is actually quite nice and fresh, as mushy peas go. Cool. Let's just see if I can just get a bit without the chip. Just use the chip like a fork. It does. It has a freshness that is unusual with mushy peas. There's no mint or vinegar or anything in there. It's just the pea itself. Bit of seasoning. And the way it's been done, there are sort of whole peas or bits of peas still in there. They've not been completely mushed. That's really, really good. I like that. Let's move on to this fish, shall we? So what we got here is cod. It's a reasonable sized piece. It's not the thickest piece of fish you're ever going to see. They did have a larger fish than this, which was a haddock. But I decided to go for cod today. The batter does feel nice and crispy. Let's have a look at it inside. You can see nice white fish inside there. That looks pretty good, doesn't it? Let's see how it tastes though. I mean, the batter is crispy, and it's not too thick either. It's quite lightly battered in most of it anyway. A little bit down the bottom looks a little bit thicker. That is a tasty fish. What I will say though, I think it might have been cooked a little too long. It's not quite as succulent and juicy as it may have been, because it's a reasonably thin piece of fish. Saying that, the second bite I've just had is nice and soft and moist. Let's dip this into this tartar sauce. Tartar sauce, of course, is a classic accompaniment, isn't it, to your fish and chips. Again, nice thick consistency. That is one of the better tartar sauces I've had for a long time. I've noticed there seems to be a trend with tartar sauce in a lot of places to make it more of a sort of creamy affair. Well, it doesn't have those sort of the sharp piquancy of the gherkins and the capers and whatever in there. This one does. And it certainly benefits from it. As you know, I really like pickled elements with my fish and chips. Something that's a little bit sharp, that cuts through some of the richness of all the fattiness even. This tartar sauce does that. That is spot on. So let's see how the fish goes with some of these other accompaniments. You've got the mushy peas, and I've got to try and do this without breaking the fish up. Like I say, the mushy peas are very solid. That's definitely a good flavour combination. I like that. Peas are nice and earthy. And with that sweet fish, that works really well. I'm going into the curry sauce now. Here we go again. Give that a try with the fish. That works well as well. What I'm saying, as I get towards the middle of this fish, can you see here? It does look a little bit like maybe it's not been completely battered properly and some of the oil got into the fish and overcooked it a touch. It's not everywhere, but on certain bits, particularly where the fish is a little bit thinner, that does seem to be the case a little bit. But as things stand, that's the only thing detracting from this being absolutely excellent. I'm going to go back to these chips and that curry sauce again, because that is an absolute winner. Wow. Delicious. Now I have got a pie, as I mentioned, so let me get that unwrapped and we'll take a closer look at that too. Okay, so the pie has come in this recyclable environmental packaging, and here it is inside. So let's pop that box down. It's got a nice looking cook on the top of it there, nice golden colour, and that is your classic chip shop pie, isn't it? Look at that. The pastry down the bottom, a little bit softer, and nice and crispy on the top. So let's take a bite out of this and see how that is. Very well filled. Very nicely filled indeed. And it's delicious. You got all that gravy in the pie there. Wowzers. The pastry, like I say, nice and soft on the bottom, a little bit crispy on the top, but that's just how a chip shop pie should be. And stuffed with filling. This was just £2.55 mine, which I think is an absolute bargain. Wow. I think if you were to get one of these and some chips and some mushy peas, a bit of gravy, what a cracking dinner that would be. It would probably only cost you about £7 or £8. Wow. That filling has got such a beautiful flavour. The minced beef, the onion, the gravy in there, all combined together, and it's a nice sort of rich, deep flavour. That is cracking. I can't fault that pie at all. Right then, folks, so what can I say about my experience at Shipdeck in Trethomas, just outside of Caerphilly? Do you know what? In the main, that was a really excellent lunch. I think the only thing that's let it down slightly for me was the cookery on that fish. If that had been a nice thick piece of cod, nice and moist and delicious in the middle, I wouldn't have been able to fault this at all on any level. The mushy peas are delicious. The curry sauce is amazing. The chips are fabulous, absolutely fabulous. And that pie is just out of this world, really is. So if I was scoring on those alone, we'd be looking at a 5 out of 5, no problem at all. But I think the cod, and being a fish and chip shop, that is a pretty vital part of it, isn't it? The cod is a bit of a letdown. So I'm going to have to knock it down a little bit for that. The actual chippy itself, nice and clean inside. Nice little seating area outside, if you were here on a day where it wasn't snowing. So that's a nice plus point. The staff in there were very friendly. So, yeah, I'm going to say, how much do I take off for that cod? That's the question. Is it half a mark or is it a full mark even? It might have to be a full mark, I think, because that really is a little bit disappointing. I've still got some of it left here, and you can kind of see inside here. There's not an awful lot of fish in this side here, as you can see. Just a bit of batter really there. And the oil has kind of got into it and made it a bit less appealing than otherwise it should have been. So, yeah, fish and chip shop of the year. Well, on everything apart from the fish, I can see why they got that. And maybe I just got unlucky with a bit of fish. Who knows? But for me, I think this is a 4 out of 5. Does it get Greeno's green light? In spite of that fish, it absolutely does. Like I say, I probably just got unlucky. If they're winning awards like the best chip shop of the year for this year, they must be doing something right, mustn't they? So, I know the chips, even though they're not cooked in beef dripping, are right up there. But I have to say, you know, you compare this to the fish and chips I had at Murgatroyd's the other day, and it's just not quite at the same level. The flavour's not quite there because of the fact they're not using the beef dripping. Still can't stop eating those chips and curry sauce, mind. But yeah, definitely, if you're in South Wales, this is just north of Cardiff, definitely a Greeno's green light from me. Right then guys, if you've enjoyed this video looking at the ship deck, the award-winning chippy here in Trethomas in South Wales, don't forget, click a thumbs up on there for me. It does help with the channel. And if you're new around here and you've enjoyed this video, there's a whole fish and chips playlist, plus loads and loads of other videos on other subjects as well. So check out the channel and subscribe if you want to hang around and see what it's all about. It's what all the cool kids are doing right now. Anyway, where to next? Somewhere a bit warmer and drier, hopefully. We shall see. Anyway, I'll see you on the next one. Bye for now.